Hello, hello, hello. This is the Muzilog Magazine Podcast. I'm Samuel Archer, your host. And today we have a special guest in the building. And when I say special, I mean special with all the toppings on top. She goes by the name Terri Lyne Carrington, and I am definitely a fan. And we want to welcome her to the show. How are you doing today, Terri? How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I know it's kind of morning. It's morning with me too. You know, we're going to sort of do the coffee thing here and there. Feel free to take a sip when you have to. You know, you're definitely royalty today, you know, so we're going to work with that. So I'm excited about your new project, Trip the Night Fantastic. And please, just what's the concept? How did it all begin? Just share with the audience.
Well, this is the second album with the group Social Science, which is a band I put together with Matthew Stevens and Aaron Parks and Morgan Guerin. And we have a lot of other guests on the album too. But this is the second album. The first one is called Waiting Game, which came out in 2019. And this is our sophomore release. It's a band that looks at social justice issues. Most of the themes are social justice related. And there's some overlap with the first album, dealing with the prison system and abolition and stuff like that. But there's also some new themes, with animal rights and the climate. And so there's just a lot of different things we're talking about. You have to check it out.
Okay. Which I would be. So I do remember Matthew Stevens from a lot of records that I would have reviewed during my examiner days with Concord Jazz. I would cover a lot of Concord Jazz artists at that time. Now, is this was it somewhat part of that family back then, and then you guys are continuing it, or this is just...
Well, no, I didn't actually know Matt when he was doing stuff with Concord, though I did 3 albums on Concord. And John Burke was the president of Concord back then. But when I did Social Science, because I licensed my album, so I kind of do one-offs. And when I did the Social Science album, I went with Motima, Jenna Herzen, with the label Motima. And then John Burke came to me and said how much he liked the record and asked me to do some A&R for the new label that he's heading, which is Candid Records. So he left Concord, got with a group called Acceleration, and they acquired Candid Records. So my last 3 albums have come out on Candid. So I've had an association with Concord and now Candid, but all of it is kind of around John Burke.
Okay. And I guess social science would pretty much be something that you would revisit going forward?
Sure, I hope so. This is our second record, but yeah, I'm sure we have more to say. And some of the, I know, right? No pun intended. But yeah, some of the people, change up a bit. But the idea is, talking about issues that are important. And, when I was hanging out, I was touring actually for the Money Jungle project that I did. I was touring with Matt Stevens and Aaron Parks, and we were in China. And that's when we decided to start this social science project, because we were just talking about things that we were concerned about in the world. And we realized that we had some synergy, of course, around these issues, and why not talk about it through music? And so, yeah, that's what this whole project is about.
Okay. Now, when I interviewed you last, you were dropping a Mosaic record where you worked with a lot of, you had a collaborative type of team and artists that came through and brought their offerings. Is there possibly going to be an addition to that installment?
No, because since then I've started an institute at Berklee College of Music called the Berklee Institute of Jazz and Gender Justice. And I've grown a lot, in my thinking and my experience around gender and jazz. And I wouldn't do a project like that again because I don't because I don't feel that that's the answer. Women do not need to kind of separate themselves or, kind of be off to the side. It needs to be an integral process. People of all gender identities need to be able to work together. You create the world, that you want to live in on the stage, that you curate. And so with my institute, it's not an institute for women learning jazz. It's an institute for people that are concerned with the gender disparity in jazz. So we have a lot of male students. So I don't believe in, kind of those kinds of segregated projects anymore.
Okay, honestly, I didn't see it like that, but I get I get the angle you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with all female projects. I mean, especially if that's not wasn't a goal to do that, like any kind of gimmick or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with an all male project, but it's when that's all you do and you've excluded other people, then I don't know. That's just not what I prescribe to anymore. So I'm not putting it down if people, create the art they want with who they want. But when we're speaking specifically about marginalized people or people without the same opportunity and support in this music, women come to the top of that list. So I feel like the way this will change is when male band leaders decide that they've kind of had enough of the masculinity kind of drenched in the music, and they might want to be open to another sound aesthetic. So those are the kinds of conversations that I'm having with male peers, and the kinds of things that excite me now. I'm seeing a lot more integration in that way on the jazz stage, and I think that it's real important. It's a real time for that right now.
Well, according to KRS-One, a teacher just spoke. Yes. So share with us the creative process. Obviously, you don't have to spill all the beans, but what was the inception of putting all the different rhythms together and the musicianship? Do you compose the music first and then take it to the studio, or is it a creative process together while you guys are in the studio? What does that look like for Terri Lyne Carrington?
It was a various process of, various ways to accomplish getting this music together. For this album, we came together to write. We, had some writing sessions. Matt, Aaron, and Morgan Guerin and myself. We did that a couple of times. So we came up with about, I think, 3 of the songs that way, which is nice. And then we also brought songs as individuals, or somebody brought music, and then I collaborated with them with the lyrics. I wrote most of the lyrics on the album. Deborah Ray wrote one of the songs with Aaron, but I think I wrote the rest of them. And then also we could collaborate musically, like if somebody brings a verse or, like a partial song, and then, we might collaborate that way with adding something to it or making suggestions. So it was a pretty collaborative process. And actually Morgan Guerin, I probably collaborated with the most on this album, and he is a co-producer as well.
Okay. Now, do you get involved in every aspect? Obviously, you're in the world of rhythm. You do all the percussive, but in terms of maybe the bass and maybe chords and even melody, how involved would you get into that aspect?
Oh yeah, I write all of those things. Like some of the music I wrote just myself.
Mm-hmm.
There's a song called Identity Song, which I wrote all the music to. And that's, it's a fairly complicated one.
Okay.
And I wrote most of the lyrics. So yeah, I don't even actually think about rhythm. That's really the last thing. It's mostly melody, chords, lyrics.
So you do keyboards as well.
Yeah, I write on a keyboard in Logic and I program it, and send demos that sound very thorough to whoever's going to perform, because I want them to be able to hear themselves on it. So I kind of hint at what I think they should play.
Okay.
I take solos, on a synthesizer to make people hear like this is where this is going. So I spend a lot of time on my demos, especially because I send them to vocalists to be guests, and I want them to really, hear the song and hear themselves on the song. So I spend a lot of time trying to get the direction of the music together before it's recorded.
What would you want music lovers and listeners to gather from this latest project?
Well, I'd like them to think about some of these themes and think about, their own perspective on the themes, but maybe what they can do to contribute to a better world, a better planet, contribute to humanity. When we think about something and we absorb it, we're able to talk more about it. We're able to, be inspired to be a part of change. And that's really, I think, at the end of the day, the goal. We want people to also dance and have a good time and feel good, because we set out to make an album that people could move to. It's very groove based. And, every song, I'm hoping that there's a head nod or something happening with people when they listen to it.
Okay. Now, how much of the industry affects you when you produce a record? Like, you may have a piece that might be 7 minutes, or maybe even, I think there's a piece I saw it's like 14 minutes. Obviously, it's jazz, so it's okay. But in terms of the industry today, songs are somewhat getting shorter. It's like 2 minutes. You're lucky to get a 2-minute song a day. Does that affect you when you're producing a record? Do you keep like a benchmark as you put a project together?
Well, I don't really think about it like that. I think that people's attention span is short. So, so I try not to make songs too long, actually. I think when you're talking about a 14-minute piece, that was part of the last Social Science album. And that was an improv. The whole, it was a double album, and the whole second album was improvised, and it was actually 50 minutes. And we separated into like four cuts, so to say.
Wow.
But it was just one long improv, which was, something we wanted to do for that project. But in general, I think a song length, 5 minutes is always okay for me. It's been the industry standard, but sometimes a song might go to 6 minutes or more, and sometimes it's 3 minutes and change, or 4 minutes. You go with what the music needs, but realizing that sometimes it's good to get in and out. I don't think things have to be so long.
Well, what I just heard is no restrictions. It's about what's best for the piece of music that you're doing in the moment.
Yeah, that's true. It's just that I also believe that, sometimes it becomes self-indulgent to go on too long with something. it's self-indulgent to play a concert too long or to take too long of a solo on a show. I'm good for 45 minutes in concerts. I mean, 60 minutes, but I'm not really trying to sit for 90 minutes to hear somebody play. I think I'm satisfied before that. And a solo, somebody plays over something 3 or 4 minutes, that's okay for me. Somebody taking a 10-minute solo, feels self-indulgent often.
Okay, so I would think that for your career, you've spanned in terms of your timeline, you've seen music from entering into the game to now you're mentoring and maybe teaching courses or maybe doing lectures. How what does that look like for you? Do you sometimes kind of think about the journey, the Terri Lyne Carrington journey? And now you have younger minds, tapping into your consulting with you and getting advice and things like that. Is that part of why you started the initiative?
Yeah, I've been a teacher at Berkeley for 20 years now. And, when you teach, you're passing your knowledge to the next generation. So that's been a big part of what I've been doing. Even since before that, I did lectures and clinics and workshops at universities and colleges all over. But it became more formalized when I started teaching at Berkeley. And I feel like I learned from the students. It's an exchange. There's a certain kind of mutuality with teaching that we both benefit. But I take it seriously because I know that you are influencing someone's life at a very critical time in their life and a time when they're easily influenced. So I take it seriously and, try to give what I can to them because sometimes it's not what they think that they need. Like somebody could come to me for, drum lessons. I don't really teach drum lessons anymore, but, say some years back, they could come to me for a drum lesson and maybe, they're not the greatest drummer in the world, but their life is calling them to do something great. And I try to look at teaching the whole person, teaching, not just in this kind of cubicle mindset of, they came for this drum lesson, so let me look at these paradiddles. I try to, find out what they really want to do with their lives because they are impressionable, at this age. And I had a drummer once that became a green tea farmer, and it was the best green tea I ever tasted. So I felt like somehow I contributed to that, because he was creating value in the world.
Wow. So what's next as in projects? Now, I know this is out right now, but is there a tour? Is there another record? Maybe something collaborative? What do you have next coming up?
Well, it's funny you should ask. I just came back from New York. I had played a week in New York and then went right in the studio and started working on, recorded the basics for the next album, which is New Standards Volume 2. So the first New Standards album are songs from a book that I put out called New Standards, 101 Lead Sheets by Women Composers. So this is the second edition second edition of the recording, but also the second edition of the book. So there'll be another 101 compositions by another group of female composers, and the album is supporting the new book. So that won't be for another year or so, but I already started working on it.
I like that. So, and I'm just being nosy. Have we seen the best of Terri Lyne Carrington yet?
The best? I mean, I'll keep growing every project, every day, hopefully. So, no, I always look at it like my best is yet to come. Though I will say that this Trip the Night Fantastic album, I believe, is my strongest work. But, that's up for grabs, and that's really not even for me to say. That's for other people to determine. But I like it.
I agree for the audience to sort of give their evaluation, but you feel inside that this has been like one of the good ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, and somebody told me you said that about your last social science album, and I think I did, because I felt like that about that album. And when they mentioned that, I said, maybe so, but I did not say that about the 3 albums in between.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I never said that was my best work. So if it was the first social science album and then this one, I think it says something about collaborating with these musicians that I love to collaborate with, this band.
Okay. So now that we've got our first phase out of the way, I want to switch gears a little bit. So your body of work, you tend to stay mostly live, especially with the drumming and the rhythmic aspect, just the overall sound of the records. I would say they're more acoustic driven. Was there any time you wanted to maybe experiment electronically, or what record in your body of work you think was sort of like really close to the borderline of electronics and maybe sampling and things of that nature?
I've always used samples and all those things. I mix it with live drumming sometimes, but I don't know if you've heard the whole album yet, because I know only a couple of singles have been out. Four singles have been out. But even the second single is a song called Identity Song. That's programmed drums. There's no acoustic drums on that.
Okay.
There's a track at the end of the album called Reckoning Song, which is all programmed drums that I programmed. And then I do a lot of sampling and sound replacing. So I might play something, and then I might make a loop of it, myself, and maybe bring in some fills. I might replace the kick drum and the snare drum with machine sounds or acoustic sounds, but just to have that kind of consistency in sound that you get from samples. There's all kinds of different ways that I've used samples in music. So I feel like I try to balance technology and what you can do with technology with organic playing.
Okay. Well, I would probably say it's so well blended that that I think it's mostly on the live side. But okay, I guess I got to get back and check out some more. So I want to jump into archives a little, and I'll probably share with you that I got hip to you in 1989. I was actually attending New York City Technical College, and I was getting hip to CD 101.9 and so on. And a late night show started around that time too. And, in New York, especially Brooklyn, New York, we were just excited about a drummer that was on that late night show. So I've been finding out for a little while, but I didn't know there was. Now I remember the Real Life record when that came out. I was able to catch that, I guess, from the whole, just the whole market and the way the weather and everything for music was happening. But I found a gem, and I found out you actually released it recently, which is TLC and Friends. I was like, wow. Yeah. What was it like even doing something like that?
Well, that album was really special to me because I came off of this kind of high of Max Roach wanting to produce an album for me for Blue Note Records.
Okay.
And he wanted to introduce me to the world. And it didn't work out. Blue Note reneged on their offer.
Oh.
And rather than just kind of feel bad about that, we decided to just go record something anyway. So we got Kenny Barron and Buster Williams and Frank and George Coleman, and made TLC and Friends. My father played on the track. And we printed 500 albums back then. So I think I was 16, so this was 1981, I think. And we printed 500 albums, and that was the end of it. We gave them away mostly. And then, with technology and how that works, we pulled out those I think it was 8 tracks. Yeah, like an 8-track recorder that was used. We pulled out the tape and restored it. It had been sitting for quite a while. And digitized everything. Yeah, digitized everything, remixed, and put it out. And it's almost looks the same as far as the cover, so it's the same picture. And it's called TLC and Friends. And it's kind of like I think it started this idea within me of betting on yourself and investing in yourself. And if one door closes, another door opens. And to create your own opportunities, and not rely on other people to give you opportunities. So to be self-sufficient, all of those things, it started then.
I must say, I do hear, and I just heard this without even thinking about it. At some point I say, the drummer sounds really happy on these records. and could that have been just that, there's youth, obviously, that, entering into this world. You have George Coleman on, you have Kenny Barron, you have Buster Williams. I mean, you have a couple of greats that you're hanging with. Well, were you fanning out a little bit, hitting the drums in that recording?
Oh, sure. That I had played with them all before, except for George Coleman. And I feel like sometimes when you're young, you take things for granted. Kenny and Buster used to drive up and play with me all the time to Boston. So I was kind of used to them. But George Coleman, he was a little leery at first. He wasn't sure he wanted to play with a 16-year-old girl. But then he came to the session and heard me, and he was, very supportive after that.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, George Coleman was on the classic Miles Davis 4 and More album, and recordings that I was listening to at the time. So I was super excited, to play with him, and that he decided to join us. And Kenny and Buster were, like just the greatest, and I've been, playing a bit with them. So I was fanning out, but I also felt, fairly comfortable. And, we had to do it very quickly. We did that album in just, a few hours, basically. It was one afternoon.
And you said this was done on an 8-track?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like a reel-to-reel recorder that only had eight channels. Yeah.
Yeah. An analog vibe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We didn't have the digital yet.
Wow, amazing. So, do you consider your body of work morning music or evening music?
I don't think about it in those terms. I think people should listen to music whenever they want. Whatever time they want and however they're inspired. I do, I always liked what we would call the quiet storm radio stations and, music that, felt sexy and music that, you might go to sleep by. But, so I think when I do certain kind of groove music, that feeling might come, that old quiet storm vibe. There's a song on the album called Autonomy Song, which was our first single, which might kind of give off those vibes. But then, I also kind of like aggressive, high energy jazz. But I think people listen to that stuff at all times of the day. Maybe you want it to wake you up in the morning. And maybe that's your way of lulling you to sleep. I don't know.
So let's talk a little bit about We Insist 2025. And it's a record with you and Christy DeShiel. I hope I'm pronouncing the name properly. What's the concept in that record? Just for those who don't know.
I wanted to honor Max Roach for his centennial, and this came out a little bit after his centennial, a few months after. But I thought, what better way, rather than to honor him, than to look at one of his most classic albums, which is We Insist. And I realized nobody had covered that album yet. So I thought I'll take the challenge. I don't want to do something that I feel like he wouldn't approve of, but I felt like I had a good relationship with Max Roach, and I felt like he was very forward thinking. And, he collaborated with hip hop artists and dancers, and he did so many different things. So I felt like he would give me his blessing if he were here. And so I used electronics and, really flipped some of the music so that it's very, very different. Like a song like Freedom Day, which was very fast on the original recording, which featured Abby Lincoln singing. And it's the lyrics by Oscar Brown Jr. It's Max Roach's Freedom Now Suite. And I flipped it to a ballad, this fast, brisk song, Freedom Day. And I felt like that allows you to hear the lyrics a little differently and allows, the feminine aesthetic into this music. And, so those are the kinds of things I think about. But the themes of We Insist 2025 were still relevant. It was written in originally in 1960, and it was the height of the civil rights era. But obviously we're still dealing with some of those same themes now. There's people that would like to take us back to before 1960,
right?
So yeah, we're still dealing with a critique of America, basically. And that's kind of a lot of my music is. It's a critique of a system that has not been fair to us.
I feel you. A teacher has just spoke. Yeah. So when my guests come on, I like to personalize them a little bit. Are you game a little bit for some of that?
Sure. I don't know what you mean, but maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one of my questions would be, what is your favorite color?
I see. Well, interestingly, when I was a kid, it used to be red. But the older I got, I realized I was gravitating to many different shades of green. And I wear nothing but black all the time, really. So there you have it, red, black, and green.
RBG, okay. So on a good day, when Terri is probably home and she has all the condiments and whatever she's going to prepare in the kitchen, but it has to be a good day, though. It has to be a good day. What would that dish be?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I'm a pescatarian, so I like sea bass. So maybe Chilean sea bass. I like legumes, so maybe make some black-eyed peas or something like that. And the biggest thing I really enjoy is salad. So try to eat as much raw stuff as possible. And yeah, that's a meal.
All right, that's a little different, but okay. Now, what do you drink with that?
What's different? Different? You mean what were you thinking? I might say.
No, I'm just.
I don't really bake very much, and I don't fry. I don't fry food. I'm not a good fryer. So.
So you're not frying because you're not a good fryer, or you don't indulge in fried
Well, I
foods?
try to eat healthy too.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't indulge in it regularly, but every now and then, if you feel like some fried fish, or I don't eat chicken, so
okay.
If I wanted something fried, it might be fish, or I like Japanese tempura.
Okay.
So, but I'm saying I don't do it. Yeah.
All right. So I meant when different, not meaning strange. It's interesting when I ask creatives. I get to interview a lot of different creatives, so it's just interesting to hear. When they get into something like a kitchen, what they would prepare, or maybe what their whole eating persona might be in terms of what they're into. That's all.
Well, I'll tell you this: I had a great compliment from my cooking, because I believe that cooking is creative, and so I don't really follow a lot of recipes. I like to just follow my own, I don't know, muse with it. But one of the compliments I got from Danilo Perez, he came over for Thanksgiving once, and then he was telling somebody, he said, she cooks like she plays. And so I thought that was a great compliment.
I like that. All right. So, yes, there's a connection there sometimes, right? And my third and final question would be, in the last week or so, who are some of the artists you've been checking out in your MP3 player?
Oh, well, I've been recording, so I've been heavily saturated in my own music. Goodness. But I do have a radio show called Future Flavors on Sirius XM. So I think of some of the things I played in the last week or two. Maybe Michel Ndegeocello, Omnichord Real Book, or Keon Harold, Foreverland, Matthew Stevens' latest album, which is just called Matthew Stevens. Milena Casado's latest album, which, what's the name of it? So, I forget the name of it. Reflections of Another Self, or something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Oh, and so you have like a radio show as well. Okay, so I guess I'm learning.
But I also was just listening yesterday. I was listening yesterday to Jack DeJohnette's album "Made in Chicago," which featured Roscoe Mitchell and Henry Threadgill, Muhal, Richard Abrams, and I was totally like more of a free improvised style. The song I was listening to, which was called Chant. So I have a varied taste.
That's great. So, is there anything you wanted to share with the audience that I didn't get to ask you?
No, I mean, you covered a lot of bases. Obviously this new album is one that's important to me. So I'm glad we were able to talk about that some. But yeah, I'd love for people to check that out. It comes out July 31st. But we have 4 singles out. Autonomy Song, which is dealing with a woman's right to choose what happens with her own body. And another song called Identity Song, which is dealing with freedom in gender identity. So it's in support of the queer community. We have an abolition song, which is talking about third wave abolition, of abolishing the punitive justice system that is in place right now in America, and thinking about other ways, other things that could happen instead of that particular system. Solidarity song that it came out as well. They both came out on Juneteenth. Solidarity and Abolition. And Solidarity song is talking about, it's kind of a parody, a satire, where Mickey Howard is a guest singing on it, and Larry Goldings is a guest singing on it. And it's like the left and the right, where you kind of have, a white dude that's trying to protect his rights, protect what's his, and you have this black woman that's basically, saying, don't mess with me. And at the end of the song, they come together realizing that they have a common enemy, and, they're so encouraged to be distracted from what's really going on, be distracted by hating on each other, that, they don't realize that they have a common enemy. And then we have a song called Children's Song that's really about all the children suffering in the world and all the different countries, from places in West Africa to Palestine and to America and Mexico, and just it's dealing with a lot of different issues like trafficking and children in war zones and child soldiers and all of that. So that's really important song to me too. And so that's what's happening with me right now. So thanks for talking about Trip the Night Fantastic.
Yes, and we were excited to learn about it. I'm excited to reconnect with you. The last time I interviewed you, we did it over the phone. We didn't really have this type of technology yet. This is cool, many moons later, to be able to do it this way. And who knows how we're going to do it in the future, right? It might be another different...
right. It might be...
I don't know where it's going to go.
We might be doing it through our glasses.
or I might be actually sitting in front of you somewhere. Who knows? Yeah.
Exactly. Old school.
So, Terri,
right,
this was, yes, you're welcome. This was amazing. I would like us to sometime do this again. It was great getting some knowledge from you. And I'd like you to make it a great day.
Thank you. You too. Have a wonderful day.